Hello and welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Today on the program, we have Josie Cotton. I had a great chat with Josie, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it here in just a bit. You know her most for her song "Johnny, Are You Queer?" From the '80s, but she's had many other attributes and things that she's done since then. Of course, she's had a rise of fame, and also and it has a new album that came out May 2nd called Day of the Gun. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Before we do, I do want to share that this weekend was a milestone birthday for me, and I don't do a lot of hoopla for my birthdays. Usually I'm like, okay, it's a day. Really, as long as I'm with friends, that's what really matters to me. That's all I really care about, right? Friends, and I get to see my kids, and that's cool. I did not get to see my kids on my actual birthday this year, but I did FaceTime with them briefly, so what I had planned was I actually went out fishing with some of my friends out on the bay. We went halibut fishing, and so I had to get up before 2 a.m. Of course, start the day with my Peloton. And meet up with friends. We went out to the bay on a charter boat and went out to catch some halibut. And let me just say, it was a blast. I had a really great time. I went with my buddy Joe, John, and Ben, and out on a charter boat, and it was great. It was just cruising around the bay all day. We'd stop at spots and then fish and catch a couple of halibut here and there. There was one point when the captain of the boat took us to a spot where there was a ton of bass, striped bass. So everybody on the boat, there were probably 15 fishers on this boat. Everybody was catching bass left and right, like just getting them, catching them, tossing them on the boat as quick as you can, put the rod back in and catch some more, right? You could get up to three halibut and two bass to make a limit. And so everybody walked from the boat with two bass, and then everybody got to keep their halibut that they caught as well. And so I was the first of my group to catch a halibut that was a keeper. And they need to be at least, I think it's 18 inches is what it is, to be able to keep it. And so I caught one, and then 30 seconds later, my buddy John caught one as well. Joe was a little bummed because he didn't catch any halibut until like the last 10 minutes, and then he caught two in the last 10 minutes that we were on the boat. So, but he caught up, and then Ben, he actually caught the biggest striper bass. This thing was pretty big. It was pretty cool. I was excited for him because he got this great big fish that's going to be good at eating, right? And so the rest of us didn't hit our limit for halibut. We caught two halibut, and Ben caught three. So he got a big striper bass and three halibut. So he got the most fish out of any of us, but it was great. And then we went from there to an Airbnb that we had booked out near Bodega Bay, which was fun. It was a little bit of a drive to get there in Friday afternoon holiday rush hour traffic. And then we just hung out. My brother Matt, he met up with us, and it was cool to hang with him too, because we don't get a lot of time to just hang out very much, and we both have our separate lives and are very busy in our lives, and just haven't been great about making the time, especially in recent years. But we invited him out, and we just had a great time chilling. It was so much fun. But at the end of the evening, actually, while we were in the parking lot, I was in the car, and my buddies went into the grocery store to get food to make a dinner. They were cooking steaks and everything, and I was talking to a couple of friends while I was waiting in the car on the phone, and my buddy Jens pulled something together that was pretty miraculous. He made a video for me, and it was so thoughtful. I mean, I'm super appreciative to Jens for making this video, because he I knew nothing about it, but he got my mom and sister in the video. He got a friend of mine, Jay, and another friend, John, a different John, and Joe was in the mix, of course, with his wife in this video, and another. I'm sure my friend Colleen. There were a lot of people in this video. They kind of came together and shared. Um, it's embarrassing stuff, funny stuff, about me. I don't know. It was just so thoughtful and heartfelt, and pictures and everything, stuff that I didn't know that people actually had. So incriminating, I don't know. It was really funny. But he waited until everybody could be together. All of my friends could be together on FaceTime and watching the video at the same time. He put a lot of work into it. So I was super excited for that. I did forget to mention one thing also. Joe's wife, Jackie, she went to the Airbnb, which is over an hour from her house, with her son. And she had coordinated with the host of the Airbnb to let her in before we got there. And she decorated the house, which was so cool, and baked a cake for me, which was really delicious. It was a funfetti cake, and thank you, Jackie, for the great cake. So then she left, and she didn't say or anything. It was just there when we walked in. The Airbnb was decorated, and I'm like, wow, this is impressive. So that was super cool, right? And we hung out for the evening, had our steaks, crashed 5 dudes in an Airbnb, and then the next morning made a breakfast and headed out. And then I got home, and the surprises were not done. Let me say, right? When I got home, I pull up, and in the driveway, my daughter had written "Happy Birthday, Dad," and then I could see that my mom had. I mean, I knew my mom had been there the day before because she was taking care of my daughter, but my mom and sister had come back to my house, which is 45 minutes from their house already. They came back earlier today, and then plastered my house with like decorations. They've done this sort of thing before, and they needed to know when I would be home, so they coordinated with Joe about details on that, to be able to make sure I didn't catch them in the act or something. But they hung shirts around the house, which is an interesting touch. They bought me some shirts and hung them around the house. They didn't put plastered 40s everywhere in my cabinets and in my fridge and freezer and probably other places I haven't even found yet. To be honest, I'm sure there's stuff that I'm missing. But so I'm not sure about all that. But this is something my sister used to like to do to people's cars when she worked at In-N-Out Burger many years ago. They would saran wrap people's cars. Well, they didn't have my car, but they did have another form of transportation, and that is my Peloton, the bike that goes nowhere. So she saran wrapped completely, like heavy wrapping job on my Peloton, wrapping it in saran wrap. So I had to cut through all the saran wrap to be able to free my Peloton up. Decorations outside. They did give some alcoholic beverages, which some wine and margaritas and heavy, high alcohol content beer like Lagunitas 9.0, Maxim beer, and some other decorations and things. So it was an interesting thing to come home to. And then I just kind of stood there for a moment because I'm like, I don't know what to do with this at this point. It's a weird feeling to feel like you're at a party, but there's no one there. It's a solo party. So I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I start cleaning up or what? I don't know. I cleaned up a couple things, but then left some of it because they're going to come back tonight for dinner. And with me and my kids. So that's kind of where that ended up. It's interesting. And there's something else that they haven't told me yet, and I don't know what it is, but they said, we'll see you tonight, but we'll talk to you before then. And so there's something I don't know that's going to happen or has happened, or I don't know, that I haven't found. I don't know. They said, just go about your day as you would. and that involves recording a podcast apparently. So, all right. So I'm 40 now. I'm old. I feel old. But also I feel grateful to my family and friends for, for really being there and caring. And I could tell, how much everybody cares and loves me through the video that Jens put together, which I thought about sharing on the podcast for a moment, but it's for me. I'm not going to share it on the podcast. It's really funny and really smart and well done. And I'm really proud of him for doing it. I didn't even know he could edit video and he pulled this thing together. So thank you, Jens, for the video. Thank you, Mom and Sister, for plastering my house. Thank you, Jackie, for going to Bodega Bay, for decorating it. Thank you to my great friends, Joe, John, and Ben, for going fishing with me, and for Matt for coming out to the Airbnb that we all hung at, and for everybody who contributed to the video, and everybody who's a part of my life that, it makes me feel valued. I try and do the same for them, and it's good to have people that care about me. I don't know. That's all I wanted to say. So that's all I got there, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's bring in Josie Cotton and have a chat.
Hello. Oh,
hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Josie?
Fantastic, Steve.
Hey, well, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course. How's your day treating you so far?
This day has been rather good, I have to say. Better than yesterday, definitely.
It's good. If they can improve upon each other each day, then that may, that's a good way to go about it, right? So
absolutely. Where are you located?
I am in outside the Bay Area, outside the Sacramento area.
Lucky. Yeah. I love that area. I do. I love the Bay Area.
Yeah. Where are you?
Los Angeles, right in the center of things.
Nice. How long have you lived in LA?
So long. Gosh, since the 80s. That's a whole bunch of time, and to be in one place. But I guess I guess I don't hate it. Well, hold on, because there was something caught my shoe, or else I wouldn't live here. Like so many people complain about LA, but they still live here. And I at one point I just said, you stop saying bad things about where you live, because you're here.
You're here. You could make the best of it if you're in a tough situation, or
absolutely.
If you choose to live there, then you must like things about it, right? So what do you like about living in LA?
My friends, I have incredible friends, and my business is here, and I just I love my house, and and stuff like that, and and there's just music going on all the time, and that's I do miss the winter. I miss having weather seasons, where things don't just slant to the left and that's winter, like drama, wind, and things that overtake you, and in nature. I think that's fun.
Yeah, we got some good rain this year, but it was definitely exception to the rule around here, right? So
yeah, but I loved it. I loved every drop of that rain.
Yeah. What brought you to LA? Tell me about kind of coming out this way.
I came here to make it in the music business. I mean, I was just like, come on, we're going to LA with my girlfriend. And we did. We came out here, and I had a bunch of demo tapes and whatnot, and songs I had written and this and that. And I just started hitting the record companies and showing my wares. I mean, that's just kind of how you did it back then. And because I didn't know anybody at all. I didn't know a soul when I came here.
Yeah. Where'd you come from?
Dallas, Texas.
Yes. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining there wasn't a huge music scene in Dallas at that point, or what was that like?
It was kind of a lot of blues, Southern blues, which was not my cup of tea. It was just, nope, I'm not doing that. And so it was just pretty clear that I had to, leave town in the middle of the night and just get out of there. It was hard to leave. It's hard. I think it's hard to leave your hometown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just to just grab all of your fortitude and just uproot yourself from everything you've known is tricky. So that's what I had to do. And I never quite fit in there. I mean, not really. And although there's some really great eccentrics in Texas, there's some very funny people there. I will say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them politicians, right? But
Other than that, other than not being able to talk politics,
yeah,
they're wonderful. But
yeah,
just don't open up that door,
right, right, yeah. And so you came to make it in music, but
Yeah.
I read also you didn't want to be a singer, really. You never kind of saw that as your dream. What did you see yourself as wanting to do in the music business?
I always thought of myself as a writer, songwriter, and I love singing. I just saw myself more as a backup singer who wrote songs, and I mean that's how I just saw it. And but when you have songs you've written, there has to be a voice on there, and I would happen just to sing them. And I guess that was my mistake. Like I exposed myself to being discovered, I guess. So, but it worked out. I mean, I'm glad it worked out the way it did. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, yeah. Well, tell me about your childhood, like the music that was on in your house growing up. Were your parents
Oh,
supportive?
see, that's interesting. I had a very eccentric kind of childhood. My father was a Eastern European ballet dancer, and he had a ballet company and a studio. So he was always playing like Tchaikovsky and classical music. And my mother was playing Tammy Wynette nonstop when he would leave the house. And so it was a clash of cultures, right in the house. And so I rebelled by just listening to James Brown when I was super young. I mean, I would just lock myself in my room and just like, no one understood, like, what are you listening? Kathleen, like it was a big ruckus. And I think that's what the reaction I wanted. But I was a huge James Brown. From the time I was like 8, he was just God to me. I think he just saved me from my environment, And it wasn't until I moved to California that I could appreciate Tammy Wynette in the full knowledge of how great she was. But at the time, it was just like, get away from me, Tammy.
Yeah. Did you ever get to see James Brown live at all?
Oh, okay. This is one of my favorite experiences. When I was so into him I thought, Papa got a brand new bag. I thought he got a new suitcase, but that clearly that wasn't what he was talking about. But when I was like 4, I continued loving him. And when I was 14, I took my girlfriend to a James Brown concert in Dallas, Texas. And, we were the only white people there. And we were like so much younger than everybody else, and they were so wonderful to us. And it was just thrilling. And then when I came to LA finally, and I had established myself, I was, I had a recognizable name in certain sections, of the city or whatever. And I went to a James Brown concert. And, I got to meet him, and he introduced me from the stage, although he called me Jessie. It's Josie Cotton, it was fine. I didn't, but the thing is, there were no Black people because he was like on the skids. I don't know. He was not they weren't in favor of him at that point. And so it was all new wave punk kids and James Brown and no Black people. And before it had been, there were no white people. So it was just, wow, and then I included him. He's in my song Disco Ball. He crept into the landscape and just uninvited and unexpected, but he's in that song. And so it's a little homage to James Brown in that video. I don't know if you've seen the Disco Ball video, but it's in there. And yeah, so he just was a thread, and so yeah, so that was my musical exposure when I was growing up. And I rejected all of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at what point did you have a kind of a performance inclination at all? I mean, aside from singing, like did you
Yeah.
grow up in kind of in that environment?
Oh, well, because he was a ballet instructor, and he would put on huge productions. He'd been a big star in Europe. He Ballet Russe, Ballet Monte Carlo. He danced with Edith Piaf. I mean, he was a thing. He was a known entity. He later ran the Harkness Ballet in New York City. But so he was grooming me to be a prima ballerina from the time I was 3 years old. So I started dancing in these
Wow.
productions he would put on, would be a pas de deux, which is just a fancy way of saying like two people in a dance. When I was like 4 and 5, there'd be another little boy, and we'd be dancing, and there'd be like Nutcracker Suite with the full orchestra. It was insane. And so that's how I grew up on the stage, and I always felt more comfortable on the stage than I did in real life. I wanted just to be on a stage and just not
Mhm.
go into, real humans' lives. But so yeah, I guess I'm a natural ham, as they say. Apparently I'm leaning in that way. So
Yeah,
I
and
guess it had to happen.
it had to happen. It had to. And yeah, and so tell me a little bit about getting your start writing music. Like what? Tell me how you found your voice through writing
Oh,
music.
what nice questions you're asking. Well, I mean, the first song I wrote was, my first introduction to music was piano lessons and choir. And so, but I started writing songs on the piano when I was about, uh, I don't know, 8 or 9. And my first song was Meow Cat Boogie.
Yeah.
I don't Meow Cat Boogie. I don't remember it too well, but I just remember being so pleased with myself. It was like, I wrote a song, Mom, on the piano. Dan, 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 dan. And and I did always love singing in choirs so much, and fell in love with singing harmonies and in Christmas productions and all of that. It's thrilling, all of those beautiful songs, and that's where I fell in love with it.
Yeah, yeah, and so when you got to LA, like what was that experience like for you? Did it take time to kind of break in and start getting discovered?
Well, I mean, what happened was I had gotten rejected so much by all these record labels, and shown the door in with probably every record label in town. And so I was very discouraged, and I didn't know anyone. And so I just kept making demos and writing, and then just fate interfered, or intervened rather. And I was in a bank line in Hollywood on Sunset and Vine, like ridiculous cliche of a story, and I just felt someone like watching me very, intensely, and smiling like a crazy person. And my usual shy reaction would be not to acknowledge them, and something just told me to say, just smile at the poor slob. He just really wants you to say hi. And he turned out to be my producer, and he wrote Johnny, Are You Queer? And we immediately started talking about music, and he was a producer and I was a singer, and so then he carved my phone number into his car with a nail that he found on the ground, because neither one of us had a pen. I remember that. He's carving like in metal, like the numbers in this old Corvair. And it was just, fun. And I met his brother, and then we just had this long, history of doing music together. So it was kind of lovely. I guess I got discovered, but not through music, through my banking.
Yeah, and he was
My
not
bank-
letting you go. He was committed to. He's like,
He
you're not
was.
going anywhere. You're going with me wherever I go, right?
Wherever I go, everyone will know your number.
Like, I know, right? There's one thing to put it on the bathroom wall. Okay, you don't really want that attention necessarily. Another to put it on your car, right? So,
Right. Like carve it with metal and iron, like it's funny. So that's how and they were the first, honestly, they were the first ones to recognize something in me that, that there was, potential there, and saw talent, and heard it, also, when I played them on my tapes, and that was lovely. I had support in Dallas and a lot of my friends, but not in LA. It was just, I just heard so many, you sing too many different styles of music. You're singing too sweetly. You're too naive. Just everything you don't want to hear. Like, you'll never make it. You sound too sweet. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I'm not, though. I'm not sweet. But no one believed me. And so, that was, I guess that's how it had to happen for me, because I really didn't know musicians to start playing around. And I didn't really know how to do that. And so it just happened that way. And just, lucky me, right? Just kind of fell out of the sky.
Yeah. Did getting that sort of feedback and all that pushback, did that ever kind of just sway you, make you want to second guess whether you
Oh,
made the right
yeah.
decision?
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
send me into depression. It was just like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And maybe I can't cut it. And maybe this isn't, I thought of going into acting at one point, because it seemed futile to keep getting rejected. And so I toyed around with that a little bit. But it makes you tougher. You have to, like, get tough, and you have to really not care, even though you're doing it because you want to be loved. But you also have to not care, and it's a tricky balance. It's actually an impossible balance, but I managed to find some semblance of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so tell me about the experience. You mentioned Johnny, Are You Queer? Tell me about the experience of kind of that song coming out. I mean, was it like overnight changes for you in terms of your recognition and all of that?
Well, I mean, when that came out, when Johnny Are You Queer came out, it was on Bump Records. It's on a really small label, but they were masterful at marketing, and it pretty much exploded all over the world. Really, it was, people reacted so strongly to that song, and I thought it was funny and sweet, and a really great dance song, and that's how most people thought of it. But there was a very schizophrenic reaction to that song. It was confusing for me. I got accused of all kinds of homophobia, or that I was actually a man. I got accused of that there was, I didn't really exist, and because I was actually a man trying to convert people. By the time I was banned in Amsterdam, I was just going, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand this world. I'm in a backwards world, because people who were warring, culturally not in sync with each other, they were aligned to go after me. And I mean, I took a bullet for that word. Really, it wasn't even the song; it was the word.
Yeah.
And but the right people own that word now, I'm, I'm just so glad that I was able to provide that for people, gay men in particular. Or they still come up to me crying, thanking me for recording that song. That's how they learned they were gay, or how they told their parents they were gay. They played that song for them, and it was like, my gosh, well, that makes it worth it to me. And that's beautiful. That's culturally significant for them. And so, I feel proud when I hear that queer this, queer that. And at one point, when I was on MySpace, like, ages ago, but the queers had come out, and I just sent them a message: "You're welcome," because they could finally use that word. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like, I don't. People also ask me, could that word, enter the dialogue now? And I don't think it could. I think it had to be that moment. It could have been any singer, honestly. But I think to be that moment when everything was so androgynous in music, and the punk rock and the new wave, and no one really cared if you were gay or straight. I mean, the kids just didn't care, and it was such a fun song, and it was so innocently, it was such an innocent. She was so dumb, this girl. It was like, I had great gaydar. I'd already had 2 gay fathers who turned out to be gay. So I was like, I don't understand if you can't figure this out, girl. But that's what made it funny, because she just didn't know. And so yeah, so that I think it became a dance song, and I think it just snuck into our culture through that song. And then people really, after all the banning that happened, all the, all that, it's just, now it's here, and it's almost like the only word you can say anymore in relation to being gay is even the right thing to say, or homosexual there, but you can say queer now, and that's so funny to me. But that's the one thing.
I know.
Isn't that funny?
Came that far. Yeah, I came that far, and and you were part of kind of that movement, right? I mean, I'm sure you heard those stories all the time from everybody.
I mean, every show I do, I hear that, and so yeah, I'm proud of that. I am.
Yeah. Did it also pave way for like bigger tours for you around the world, like you touring around the world behind that song, or?
No. But when I got picked up by a major label, they signed me because the song had been done so well, and so all over the place, and but when they realized that all the controversy it was causing, and they had corporate backlash, and they were they decided, and it had gotten approved for AM radio with a beep, Johnny, are you beep, which was like not a known thing. And all the radio programmers who said, okay, yes, it's going on the radio, AM radio, now we're doing it. And Elektra got very cold feet, and they pulled the record. They pulled them from the record stores. And I have yet to hear of a record company to kill a hit song like that. That was so shocking to me. It was like, what are you, what? And so, so that that was something, they lost their enamor of me at that point, and I was just kind of the problem child, and so they weren't going to do any tour support. They canceled my videos for the first record, and just they was not something they were like real thrilled about, even though that's why they signed me. That's just the irony of it all.
Yeah. And so what was that like for you for those next steps? What do you do? How do you dust yourself off and kind of move forward after that?
Yeah, I left the music business. I felt so attacked, really, by all these different factions in the press. In LA, the local press thought I'd stolen the song from the Go-Go's, and so they were not real friendly towards me. I mean, I didn't. The Pain Brothers took it away from them. They just did it live. But so it's just like, God, is everybody gonna be on me now? Like, and so I just didn't want to be Josie Cotton anymore at that point. And so I did a third record without Elektra, just on my own, and but every time I would think about going back into that world, it was like, oh God, I don't know if I'll survive a second round. And so I just started putting everything out myself, and I just kept making records, but I was able to do different kinds of music. I wasn't stuck in the 80s, which was lovely. I mean, my favorite line that I came up with is that I don't breed well in captivity. When I in a corporate setting, I was dying. And they'd fired my producers, and I didn't feel safe. And so I left that world, and I didn't do 80s music for years.
Yeah. And so how long were you out of the business?
Well, I mean, I was in the business
So
though. I had a recording
you're,
studio and I had a little record company and I was still making records. So I wasn't out of music, but in terms of like anyone knowing that I was still alive, I,
yeah,
let's see. I mean, gosh, 10, well, let me see. I don't know, at least 5 years, and
yeah,
and then I would come out and then I don't know. I had a very odd career and it's still odd. So it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
it suits me, I guess.
But you would produce other artists with your music studio, or was that just for your own creativity?
Well, no, we rented it out. There were tons of bands coming through, and I loved being around people who still had dreams.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're like, that's so cute. Isn't it cute to have dreams?
oh yeah, how quaint, yeah. Dream on, puppy. And but no, I wasn't that bitter. But I just like being around people who love music and had and goals I just love that. I'm a studio rat. I like being in the studio. I like the whole process of it. And so that was fun for me to do. And I had different partners and that would I'm on my third recording studio right now, but it was always open to the public. They were always businesses. They were so that's kind of what I would invest in that. And I'd make records, but I wouldn't necessarily release them in any way that someone could find. Just kind of I would just finish, I would get the artwork done and go, okay, it's a record, but there's
Yeah.
no way anyone could find it. So very silly. So I spent the last couple of years re-releasing all this stuff that was lost to the wind, like we don't know who's getting the checks for those records. Like we just don't even know who that, that email is no longer in existence. And it was just it was just such a wild feeling, like all this thing. I spent so much time on this stuff and it was just not I wasn't connected to it anymore. So that's why we released everything on our own label, you know
Yeah.
to find a home for all of my music, basically.
Yeah, for sure. You like to incorporate comedy into your music too. So tell me kind of about that approach and kind of being able to share that part of yourself
Oh,
in your music as an outlet.
okay, well, I pondered this. But the fact that I was such a serious little girl. I was so serious, and I still am. So when I realized I had an inclination to want to be funny, make people laugh. That was something that always stayed with me. And I actually had a comedy radio show back in Texas, and would write the material and with this other girl, and we did characters, and that was so fun. And so I kind of wanted to keep that in my songs. Even if I'm talking about something serious, I will inject something ironic or play on words or something completely ridiculous. But I think life is like that. I think it's both things. If you just talk about serious things, or if you just talk about partying all the time, or it's like it's not representative of the magnificent like palette of life. It's just it's missing something. And so I try and do to have both of those things. I spend a lot of time on lyrics, and I know people don't listen to lyrics anymore, and I'm totally guilty of just liking music and never listening to the lyrics too. So I understand, just like I don't know what they're saying, but I love it, and all this stuff. But I do put a lot of like so much work into writing lyrics.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good segue because your new album just came out earlier this month, Dave the Gun, and the lyrics. I listen to I don't always catch all the lyrics, but I will tell you that your lyrics have a whimsical nature to them, right? And I love the feel of it. And so tell me about how you kind of brought that in with this album and working with Paul on on kind of pulling this album together.
Yeah, yeah. It just he was just very interested in getting me back in the studio, and these songs were I wrote them pretty much in a couple of years during the pandemic, and stream of consciousness. I mean, it was a whole lot of things where I would just sit down with the guitar and something would just come through, like, playing chords. I didn't even know what the chords were I was playing, and it was just like melodies. And it's a tricky way to write songs because then you have to figure out what the song is about. And it's almost like Neanderthal, like warbling of sounds, like, what is she saying, like, and what are you trying to say? And so that's kind of how this album came about. And I mean, it's much easier. I much prefer if I have a title. It's like the country music way of the Payne brothers taught me. Like, if you have a strong title, then everything you fill out the blanks. You just fill in the spaces. But if you have finished music and no title and no idea what it's about, it's like you're climbing up like a moss mountain, on your fingernails, like, what? So it's so much harder to do it that way, but that's pretty much how all the songs happen. Although on Cold War Spy, that was I loved spies so much, and I loved I'm just such a nerd with the history of the Stasi and the Orwellian, like mind control. And I became a thing of research on some of these songs, and that's really fun. I love like exploring, like one of the songs called Circle Dance, and it was a circle of life, obviously, but it turned into a square dance, like the whole thing. And then I had to research square dancing and incorporate all these like this calls on a square dance floor. I'm like, why, Josie, wait, what? And but that was fun too, because I didn't know what do-si-do meant, and there's all these crazy terms, and so that's fun, to learn something new, and then put it into a song. I find that really fun.
Yeah. What an outlet, right?
Yeah.
Um, your song "Ukrainian Cowboys." That's a song you had for years, but kind of it finally came to fruition, or you made some adjustments to it before bringing it onto
Oh,
the album.
yeah. Well, I mean, it was an unfinished song. It was one of these ones I knew there was something there, but I just could never finish it. Yeah, and then I was working on it, and again, like years of working on the song. And then there was a point where in the news, I was watching the news, and when I was going to say Texas, because is as big as hole in my soul, as big as Texas, that was where I was going. And then as I came to that point, then this guy on the news went Russia, so he was like, there's a hole in my soul as big as Russia, and he said it right in time when I was about to say. I went, wait a minute, wait. Russia is much bigger than Texas. Maybe all my, obsession with, World War I and World War II documentaries is going to pay off, because now this could be about Russia and a cowboy song. And so it turned into that. And the title was just an accident. It was just a throwaway line that we needed a title for it. And I went Ukrainian Cowboy, and just completely off the cuff. And it turns out that's a thing. There are Ukrainian cowboys, and they have a whole style of music. And when I started researching that, I was like, what? Oh, no, it's impossible. And yeah, they have their own culture, the Ukrainian cowboys. And then I wanted to change it because it just seems so silly. And they went, no, you can't change it now. And this is before all the war stuff started. So You know, I was not trying to, you know, jump on any kind of weird bandwagon of of
Yeah.
war songs. But yeah, so that was I love that song. I'm really proud of that one.
So often we think we have an original idea, right? And it's like, I created this thing. There's nothing like it in the world. And then you Google it and it's like, I'm not the first to have this idea. What?
Well, mine was more like a joke. He says, "What are you going to call it? It has to have a name. I have to put it in Pro Tools." I went, and then it was just like so
The most
random.
outlandish thing. Yeah.
It wasn't like I, you know, conceptualized something, but it was just, you know, just sounded funny to me. And then they wouldn't let me change the title. Uh,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
became quite popular in Russia and the Ukraine for, you know, it was like when I would do radio shows, it'd be like, there's a lot of Russian people calling in. I go, cool, fantastic. But I guess I
Yeah.
can't go there now, right? Not right now.
Maybe wait a little bit before
Anyways,
you head
yeah.
out that way. So yeah, yeah. I would stay local. But
Yeah, stay not a good
yeah,
move, career move.
right, right. Um, and you did a release show with Party Clowns at Daddy Diamonds. Tell me how did the release
Yeah.
show go? Tell me about that experience.
Oh my, that was one of the most magical nights of my life. It was just so beautiful. It just felt like I'd been through like you know, just some kind of this long journey to get to this point. And I've always been like a little obsessed with clowns and anyway, and so this place it's like the most amazing clown art and B movie posters that even I've never heard of, and I fancy myself as a connoisseur of that type of thing. So it was just and then we had like four amazing clown acts, like bizarre clowns, like you know, like absolutely eccentric to the extreme, and everyone dressed up, and I was the what do you call it, the mistress of ceremonies, or the one with the top hat and the whip.
Uh-huh, yeah,
Yeah, so that was just fun. It was wonderful. Yeah, a lot of great stuff happened on that night.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
yeah,
I saw you did a Halloween show last year with I forget who the headliner was, but also with Shannon and the
Shannon and the
Clams.
Clams. I love
Yes,
that band. I love
oh,
them.
they're great, and I went to high school with Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we were in the same class.
Oh
Uh,
shit. Yeah, she just started
yeah,
following me. Like right after I did that show, she started following me. So I followed her back. I was so flattered. They're just incredible. And uh and I've done a couple of things now with John Waters. You know, that was one of them. And you know, anything that he's involved in, you know, I'm there.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I can be the really fun one was at the Madonna Inn. It was an Easter show, and that was really really fun. So yeah, I love doing those festivals. You know, it's really great to see, you know, young bands, and I'm just amazed when they know who I am. I just like I don't understand how I was gone, you know, I disappeared, and how do you know who I am? I don't get it, but thanks. And so but yeah, that's a really fun thing to do. I'm hoping to do more festivals.
Yeah. Do you have a bunch of shows lined up? Are you working on a tour for the summer?
Well, I'm working on getting a being on a roster of, you know, a booking agent,
Mhm.
and that's tricky for me. Because it's just because I do so many different styles of music, and
Yeah.
I could do a set. I could do a rock set, or I could do an 80s set, or I could do a rockabilly set, or I could do a pop, you know, garage set. You know, but I think a lot of these bands, they're one thing. They have and they're very you know, people want to know what they're getting, and I'm kind of an unknown quantity, so it's been tricky finding the right people to understand that. I'm like what is that monster that has like the head of a lion and the tail of a, you know, a lizard or whatever, In mythology, you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah. I don't know what's its name. I don't know its name, but yeah.
But yeah, and it's just like I feel like that sometimes, you know. I'm like, who would you want to open up for right now? I think Shannon and the Clams would be a great fit. I would love to do that. I think I would fit totally with them.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. Yeah, they have that great style, and I mean really good live also. I mean
Yeah.
it's cool. It's great to see her success too. You know, knowing someone for
Oh
you know
yeah.
that long. Like I interviewed her a handful of years ago, and it was just great to catch up. Like you know,
Yeah.
and
She's a doll, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
She really is.
yeah, yeah. It's very cool. And so do you have a bunch of songs kind of ready? Like when you do you how far ahead do you plan? I know we just have it had this album come out, but like what does that
Yeah.
look like for you kind of for moving forward?
Yeah. I'm a not a good planner. I would say I suck at it. So I'm not that person, but I have songs, you know, I have songs that I'm and projects I want to do. And right now I'm concentrating on this next video and in getting an agent. And I really want to be out there playing. I was supposed to go to Japan last year and I was releasing a best of Josie Cotton just in Japan, and I was going to host this indies music uh, indies festival. I was head of the the jury or whatever, and and COVID. They were so careful about COVID, and they didn't. They were smart because they didn't get very much of it. They were very controlled, but it just shut down that whole. I'm really wanting to get to Japan before I fall over.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be amazing. Hopefully pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, yeah. You had a birthday recently also. What did you do
I
to
did.
celebrate?
It was a jam-packed week. The release party, my birthday, the Valley Girl reunion,
Oh yeah.
just everything happened. We had a little party at this club, and with this 60s soul music, this DJ played, and we were all dancing, and it was very lively, very fun. I'm having a really great time right now.
Sounds like it. Yeah, yeah. What how did it was the Valley Girl reunion? Like 40 years, right? So
For 40 years. Yes.
yeah,
And they played my
yeah.
video uh, at the Chinese Man Theater
Yeah.
for the movie, and which I was shocked because it's a little risque. This video is a little like, I don't know. I don't know if they can follow me down that alley right now. But nobody noticed there was anything off color about it. So I was like, oh, yay. And but it was funny. I was
Yeah.
laughing. It was just like, oh my God, they're just all sitting here, and I'm not that innocent person anymore. And but everyone you know, loved it. So I think
Yeah.
that they will. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, as long as you're having a good time, that's what matters, right? So
Well, I mean, I want people to have
yeah,
to
that's good
enjoy.
too.
Yeah.
Help others have a good time, right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And and you can listen to it on a deeper level, or you can just listen on the most the surface, and either one is fine. And someone the other day told me, well, you're just like the what is that band who did Rock Lobster?
Oh, B-52s. Yeah.
Yeah, you said your songs are just like B-52s. I went, have you listened to the lyrics? Because I'm talking philosophy here. I'm talking existentialism. I mean, it's just but I guess people hear what they need to hear, or something like
Yeah.
that. It goes pretty deep, or as shallow as you want. My shallowness goes very deep.
Like you said earlier, a lot of people don't listen to the lyrics the same way and get what they want from the music, right? So
Yeah,
it,
and that's
it
fine. That's fine too. I do that myself. So yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, Josie, I thank you for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
I really enjoyed our
Uh,
talk.
and me too. And congratulations on the new album. I know you put a lot of work into it, and it's out in the world. And and everybody can check it out. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, yeah. All
Yeah,
right. Well, have a great weekend ahead. Okay.
absolutely. I'll follow you on all the stuff.
Uh, That was my interview with Josie Cotton here on Concert Pipeline. And that takes us to the final segment on the program, the music news. Just a couple of stories, really. It's a light news day for Concert Pipeline. First off, Tina Turner passed away at the age of 83. A lot of people have paid tribute to her, either online or in their live shows, and she definitely left her mark. Her last live show that she performed at was in 2009, I think. So it's been quite a while since she has performed live. But in 2021, there was a documentary, Tina, where uh, she experienced post-traumatic stress disorder as a result from her tumultuous marriage to her ex Ike Turner, and she passed away at her home in Switzerland. I didn't realize she was living in Switzerland, of natural causes. So, rest in peace, Tina Turner. Uh, on the other news, I mean, we always try to talk about Foo Fighters. This weekend is Bottle Rock weekend in Napa, and uh, I go to Bottle Rock fairly regularly. I didn't go this year, obviously, because I had other celebrations to be doing, and I don't live in Napa anymore, so it's more of a chore to get to Napa than it was in the past. Also, wasn't super crazy about most of the lineup that was playing, so I skipped out. But it was funny that Dog Star was added like last minute. That's Keanu Reeves' band, and they're also doing the culinary stage. I would have checked that out. I don't think they're any good. Saw them like 22 years ago perform at a festival, and Keanu Reeves has since very much blown up since then, uh, so it would be interesting to see Dog Star at Bottle Rock. That would be one of the. I don't know. I have an interest in actors' bands because I think there's always something there, right? It's like I don't know if it's the fame or what it is, but it's very interesting to me to see actors that create bands and kind of scratch that itch on that side. And like, are they any good? A lot of them aren't. Juliette Lewis is the best one that I've seen and was friends with for a little bit. We were cool through her band Juliette and the Licks. I hear rumblings they might do some new music or something, but I don't know anything about it really. Um, and um, and so the big news, lots of big news in the Foo Fighters camp as they're getting closer to their new album release. And they debuted 4 new songs and their new live drummer as they kicked off the 2023 comeback tour. The first show was in Guilford, New Hampshire on May 24th, and it was a warm-up gig ahead of their headlining shows and festival appearances set for later this summer. It was also for their first gig with the newly announced drummer Josh Freese, who's performed with Paramore, Weezer, Nine Inch Nails, and other bands as well. He took on the role following the passing of Taylor Hawkins last year. Toward the end of the show, Dave Grohl took a moment to introduce the new member to the audience, showed his appreciation for him helping the band to perform. Can everybody, would you please welcome the man behind the drums, Josh Freese? He said, we would not be here tonight if it weren't for Josh. So everybody give Josh a big fucking round of applause. They had a 21 song set list, live debut of their comeback single, Rescued, taken from their upcoming album, But Here We Are. They teased fans with previews of 3 more of their songs, Under You, Nothing at All, and the record's title track. Renditions of numerous of the fan favorites, including Everlong, The Pretender, Learn to Fly, My Hero, as well as a guest cameo of Dave Grohl's daughter, Violet, who joined the band for a performance of their 2020 track, Shame Shame. So great set list. Looking forward to seeing them in a couple of months. Let me see. They also shared online, I guess, a new single, Show Me How, which features Violet Grohl. And they've announced an early listening event in the UK. So let's see, under the first two tracks. Okay, what do I want here? Taken from their upcoming LP, but here we are. They've confirmed that they will be giving fans of the UK a chance to listen to the new album one day before it's officially released. And described as an exclusive special sunrise event. The preview will take place in the South End of England on June 1st, and fans can win 2 free tickets by pre-ordering the album. So that's interesting. So you pre-order the album, and then you have a chance to win 2 tickets to England to hear the album that you pre-ordered a day before it comes out. That's an interesting touch. Hey, I'd take the trip to England. That'd be pretty cool. But and then one other Foo Fighters story to wind out the music news. The Foo Fighters are joined by Taylor Hawkins' son Shane on drums at Boston Calling. And so there was some speculation early on as to whether Shane would be the drummer for the Foo Fighters. Obviously he's not, but he did drum with them. So, and this is their second gig of their comeback. He came out and played with them. So very, very cool. Good stuff in the Foo Fighters camp. And exciting times for me as I round and start out this new decade of my life and whatever adventures may come in my 40s. Tell you, I'm feeling the age, but I'm trying to stay young and take care of myself and all the stuff that I got to do. Right. So thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day. And for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.